This is a part of the fact or crap, because this is the one I'm really interested in, and this got my brain thinking. So Texas just came into town, fellas. And look, it's been a rough go for the Rangers. This is not the Rangers right now that looked like a playoff team, even though they had struggles last year. This does not look like the same Texas team. DeGrom is not healthy. Their offense is not performing. Max Scherzer just came back. But right now, they're sitting 8 games out of a wild card spot, only a game and a half ahead of the Los Angeles Angels. So if these next 2 weeks are rough for Texas, and say they draw double digits behind for a wild card spot, guys, fact or crap, Max Scherzer would be an excellent trade piece that the Orioles should go out to get.
Who are you picking first?
Kevin. Oh. Kevin is in. So Kevin is saying fact.
That's right.
Why are you saying fact, Kevin?
Why, Kevin?
I think, to me, you look at the starters on the market currently, and we're not going to really know for a lot of these fringe teams until probably the second to last of the last week of July. But if Texas, if they're struggling, if they continue to slide here, I think that Scherzer is a good option for them. And I don't know. I would feel confident and comfortable with an Orioles top 3, because I think what Zach and I have been talking about on the post game, and that kind of led into the Povich number 3 conversation we just had earlier. Burns, Rodriguez, and Scherzer is your top 3. I would feel comfortable enough in that to where you can have Povich and Kramer, and you can move Suarez and Irvin back to the bullpen. That gets you bullpen help, and that's just generally for if they get a starter. But this market right now for starters, there aren't necessarily like aces, like number 1s, or even it feels like there are number 3 or number 4s available right now. Whether you want to talk about teams that are absolutely tanking or teams that are kind of on the fringe, I think Scherzer would be a guy that I would like to see the Orioles go after. Zach? Even though he is not the Max Scherzer of his prime, obviously.
Yeah. This is a tough one. I don't know, because the more I'm looking into it, I want to say yes, but people are acting like, at least these are what I'm reading through stuff and articles, they think that Scherzer can get a haul, and they're talking about guys like you would have to give up a Mayo or something, and I don't see that
No way
at all.
No.
On the last year of his contract, I like that, so it's going to be, I assumed it was going to be cheaper, but if you can avoid giving up, maybe you toss in Norby, you give up, Stowers, well, those is your big guy in it. Without a doubt, I would do it without a hesitation. The injury concerns me a little bit. That's why I'm afraid to kind of give up a lot. He's only thrown twice this year, so that definitely plays a little factor into it. But if it's a big deal, no. If it's for anyone outside of the Orioles kind of top consensus, top 4, top 5 prospects, I would do it.
Yeah. I think it's a fact as well. I see a lot of people saying that he's washed, he's 39 years old. And I remind you people that Justin Verlander is 41 years old. And I believe he has another year on his contract, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So age is just a number at this point. And at the end of the day, we're talking, we don't have to give up much because of what you had just mentioned. Max hasn't been pitching. He's had 2 outings.
Yeah.
And he just came back, so it's his first 2 outings back from the
injury.
season. For the season, yeah.
Right. So he's had some time to rehab. He's basically only going to have to play a half a season, and if you're worried about age, you're not going to have to worry about the full 162 getting after him.
Yeah.
So I think that there is definitely something to be said for that, and you don't have to give up the farm on a rental, even if it is Max Scherzer. So I think that and a lot of people say, well, let me take it back. He doesn't have to be the ace that he once was.
Yes.
He just has to be good enough. And I think right now he has the potential to be good enough. Not only that, you and I have talked about this, Ryan. We talked about it with Mike Elias on the importance of veterans, and in particular, veterans that had tons of playoff experiences. Max Scherzer has had 30 starts in the playoffs. He's had 30 playoff starts in his career, which is a lot more than most pitchers that are current right now. So I would say that yeah, I think it's fact. I think that it's an entirely plausible trade target.
And again, I'm seeing another name that could pop up on this team. Nathan Eovaldi is in a similar situation where they're both going to be free agents after this season. But I'm saying fact. And again, let's just say this out loud here. Pitching now is different, and elite pitchers can pitch for longer. Yes, Scherzer's 39, and I understand the injuries and the worries of this. But a guy that last year overall was his worst year in the last, I don't know, I'm going through this right now.
And he wasn't healthy.
And wasn't fully healthy, but his last year in 27 starts had a 3.77 ERA. He had a 3.20 ERA with the Texas Rangers. He had a 4.01 with the Mets, and the Mets were a disaster last year.
Yeah.
But since that was his worst ERA, if the Orioles got a 3.77 ERA Scherzer, that's his worst ERA of his career since 2009.
Yeah.
And so the other part I want to throw out there, and again, Max Scherzer in his first two outings to me looks like the Max Scherzer still of the guy that can go out there and be ace-like. And he doesn't have to be number one because you have Corbin Burns.
And Grayson.
And then you have Grayson. But I'd still, Max Scherzer slotting in, and people are wondering about, for prospects, a 39-year-old, you're right. And that's the big thing here is it fits the profile for the Orioles. They don't have to overspend for them.
Right.
The Rangers are going to try to get guys, but it might take a lower level guy. It's not going to take – the Orioles will not trade one of their untouchable guys for Max Scherzer. And I want to get that out there. They will have to trade them for Skubal or Crochet. That is a fact. Skubal or Crochet is going to have to be in the conversation if the Orioles are going to
and that's just not
give up an untouchable. And it's a value thing.
Well, that's not Uncle Mike's MO. Uncle Mike's not giving up a top prospect to go after a Skubal or something like that. He'd rather try to find a homegrown one if he can help it. And I just don't see I would be floored if Mike Elias made a trade like that.
Yeah. And so, but that's why, though, I look at this and you're going, you want to win right now. And let's be honest, if Max Scherzer is the Max Scherzer that I think he is right now, and think about that. Think about Max over the last 4 years of what he was.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you take a starting three of Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer, and Grayson Rodriguez into a playoff series right now?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Of all the names of the teams, and this is all contingent on Texas is the one team right now. They're not going to give up to Grom.
Then a
He's
healthy
injured
Dean
right now.
A healthy Dean and Cade Povich. There's your 5-man rotation.
To me, I'm just saying, if I'm the Orioles and the price right now for Scherzer, which the Rangers probably would still eat a lot of the contract here, by the way. It's a $22.5 million payroll that he's getting paid out, but the Rangers would have to eat most of that, probably part of the deal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're an Orioles fan and you want a guy in the playoffs that can go and win it, and it's not going to be Justin Verlander that's available, I'm in on Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
I'm in on him.
I think I might be more in on Eovaldi, though, the more I look at it. Nathan Eovaldi is just a different human being in the playoffs. I mean, his career, he has a 3.05 ERA in the playoffs over 17 appearances. He's 9-3, 82 strikeouts. I mean, he's just every single time. 2018 with the Red Sox, 2021 with the Red Sox, and 2023 with the Rangers. Every single one of those runs, Nathan Eovaldi, hand him the baseball and he was going to go win you a damn game in October. So obviously, if you want to talk big name over their career, he's not a Max Scherzer, but right now, either of those two would look really good sitting at that number 3 spot for the Orioles rotation in October.
And I think that both of them could be available.
Yeah.
And it's solely contingent on what Texas does down in the next 2 weeks of the season. And again, I reiterate, the Texas Rangers are 8 games under 500 right now. And this isn't the National League where you can be at the moment 6 games under, 7 games under 500 and be 5 out of a wild card spot. The Cubs are 7 under and 5 games out. Texas is 8 under and 8 out.
It's going to be such a weird deadline. I mean, we've been talking about it for the past month or so now, where it's like there are so many of these teams in flux. We just don't know what they're going to do. A team could wake up one day after a 3-game win streak and say, oh, yeah, we're going all in with this roster.
Yeah.
We're not selling anybody. We're buying. And another team could go through a 2-game rough stretch 2 days before the deadline and say, okay, we're packing it up. Here are all our players. Go get some. So it's going to be weird because you mentioned it. There are like multiple teams in that scenario. And we're just not going to know until probably like July 20th, July 25th, what direction those teams want to go in. And that's big because trades in season cost more than trades out of season because everybody wants the same guy or multiple guys.
Yeah.
And there is the deadline. Like that's the point where they can leverage different offers and say, okay, if you're not going to give us what we want by the time of the deadline, we're just going to give them to someone else. So either you up your offer or you're not getting them. So that's what the Orioles have to deal with. Now, the thing the Orioles do have is if they really, really wanted to, they can go prospect for prospect with anybody, but you have to be smart about that, not just give up prospects to give up prospects.
Right.
And that's the point. Garrett Crochet, I'm going to say it again. Crochet and Scooble are going to take, if they're available, the untouchables are going, and there's some, a team control component, but you're going to have to pay those guys eventually on top of it. Scherzer's a guy right now that you can give up talent and still not give up any part of your big part of your future yet.
Yeah.
And make another deal like you can in the offseason. That's what I want to point out to. The Orioles can get in position to win the 2024 World Series without sacrificing what their farm can be for the future and could go make a splash move in the offseason yet again. So I think it'll be very interesting to see. I think honestly then, guys, should I asked some people out there, but should I do a break? Because I don't think people understand what I still see with Max Scherzer in the first 2 starts.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that might have to be the breakdown.
Yeah, that can go to your the trade deadline target breakdowns you're doing.
All right, we're
good
going
idea.
we're going Max Scherzer. We'll have Nathan Eovaldi thrown in there at a point. We'll do Garrett Crochet. But I'm really Texas is the team that I cannot figure out right now.
Yeah.
But it is crazy. You think with how talented Texas is and how
They
everyone
have to
thinks.
sell.
But that's the thing is, as talented as people think Texas is, and they are a win now team, they're only a game and a half up on an Angels team that everyone thinks
Are they
so
win
lowly.
now though? Like that's the weird thing. Texas has so many. Look at Wyatt Langford. You have Josh Young. You have Evan Carter. Obviously, Corey
They have
Seager
so much
and-
talent and just haven't been able to put it together.
Simeon and Seager, I go obviously on the wrong side of 30, but they're still incredible the next 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You still have guys like Adolis Garcia, who's going to be great.
Well, and Jung is still there, and
Yeah. And then, so then you also,
Young.
yeah, it's Young. That is Young.
Yeah, it's young.
Yeah.
Young.
Evan.
Very
It's Young.
confusing, but
Young.
yeah, that just goes.
You know, like
Young.
you spell Y-O-N-G, Young?
The J
Yeah.
is
the J is silent.
Correct.
Yeah. But
Heston.
But that's what I'm saying is if they get rid of Eovaldi and Scherzer, there was a chance that they were losing both in free agency anyway.
Right.
Chalk this season up as hell. That sucked. Won the World Series. Everyone got injured. Pack it up. Let's try it again
Hangover
next year.
happened.
Yeah. It happens. Then you go out there, you restock in this offseason. Your young guys get another year of experience in them, and then you can go for it again. I don't think, that if they're in a weird spot where they have older guys that obviously make them look win now. They don't have DeGrom pitching right now, but they do have opportunity, I think, in the future. But it's going to be some of the core pitchers are where they're going to lose their guys.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at it. We're going to have this is the first. It's July, so we're allowed to talk about it now. And the Orioles are going to also look for relievers. So when we're talking about teams here, they might try to get a multi-package in for players. So keep that in mind as we go. The Orioles are going to be active, but as they're trying to put together pieces to go win a World Series, the question's going to be who's available and how much they're going to be willing to give up for multiple pieces, because that's also what I think they're going to do. I think the Orioles are going to go after multiple pieces. And do you want to sacrifice that for 2024 with so much young talent that you're still trying to figure out is what's going to be the piece of the puzzle? So I'm excited about it.